Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Leela Web Dev. In today's video, we are diving into a super important topic in the computer networking, that is nothing but networking layers. So when you are in the computer science engineering, when you are trying to learn it, you have heard about these network layers, right? So how computers communicate with each other, we have seen it, whether through your home Wi-Fi or across the internet, anywhere. So you have seen this one. Let's break it down step by step, starting from the very basics. So before jumping into the layers, let's answer the most basic question. So what is a networking? What is a networking? Networking is simply a way for computers to communicate. That's it. So you can have a global network like the internet, or a small private one at home between your laptop and phone. For example, let's say that I have connected my MacBook and iPad to the same router. They form a private network. If you are not in my network, you can't access my devices. So that's networking in simple terms, connecting machines so that they exchange the data. Now let's talk about how this connection is organized using the layers. So networking layers is the big picture. So when we talk about networking, we often hear about layers like physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, and also the application layer. What do these actually mean? These layers help us break down the complex process of moving data from one device to another. Each layer has a specific job and they work together to make communication possible. So let's walk through one by one from bottom to top. The first one is the physical layer. So if you try to observe here, so this is the box. Here you will be having the physical layer. So first one is the physical layer. So first one is physical layer. So what does this physical layer? At the very bottom you will be having a physical layer. This is the layer where it will be dealing with the Ethernet cables. Okay, so here it will Ethernet cables or signals, electric pulses. So whatever the things you will be having, so this all deal by this one. So something like a light in fiber cables. Okay, so it's all deals with the data. Actually you can say it as it all deals with the data. Data means here is nothing but zeros and ones. That's it. A physical layer doesn't understand what the data means, just its only job is to send and receive bits. So that means if a light is there means then it is a 1, if there is no light means then it is 0. That's it. So if you are connecting an Ethernet cable to your internet or something like that, so you will be able to see some light will be glowing, right? So that is nothing but if the light is there means 0 and it is 1. If there is no light means 0. If there is a light in the fiber optic cable means it could mean 1. And this happens super fast. For instance, Cat8 Ethernet cable can transform 1 billion bits per second. That is nothing but 1 GB of data per second. So that means it communicates or it transfers 1 billion bits per second through the cable. But the physical layer doesn't care about the IP address or devices. It just moves the bits. So it doesn't care about the destination, source or anything. Just its thing is to transfer the bits. That is nothing but zeros and ones. This is all about the physical layer. Next one comes is the data link layer. Okay. So next one comes is the at the top. It is data link layer. So this is also important one. So just I want to try to explain you. Let me write this one. So it's a data link layer. This is where the switches come into play. Okay, if switches come into play means then that is nothing but MAC address. So here you will be having all the MAC address and all those things will be taken care of this one. So here you will be having the MAC address. Here it happens. It takes those raw zeros and ones. So these all zeros and ones it will be taken here and packages them into something called a frame. So here all the zeros and ones and all those things it will be packaged into a, it is called as a frame. So we call this one as a frame. Okay, so the data link layer, the data which we are having, the zeros and ones and all those things it packages and frame, and it will add a MAC address to this frame. So here for this frame a MAC address, so that means the MAC address for the source and destination. So it will add the source and destination of the MAC addresses. So if my laptop wants to send data to my printer means the switch looks at the destination of the MAC address, then sends the data to the right device via the physical layer. So via the physical layer, the data link layer sends the data. That's it. So this is about the data link layer. So what first happens? So this physical layer, it will have only the zeros and ones, and whatever the data you are having, it will have only the data. And the next goes to the data link layer, and the data link layer nothing but it is dealing with the switches. So the entire zeros and ones, whatever the zeros and ones you are having, it will package them into a frame and add the MAC address, source and destination MAC address to that frame. That's it. So the data link layer organizes data for local delivery and helps devices on the same network talk to each other. Up to here. So fine, up to here it is finished. So then comes the network layer. So here up to here, if you are in the local private network means, so then this one will be sufficient. But if you are trying to transfer across the networks means, then you need to have a network layer. So at the top you will be having another one that is nothing but network layer. Okay, so this is the network layer. So in this network layer you will get the IP address and the routing. Above that, so above the data link layer we have a network layer, and this is where the things start scaling up. So we are no longer limited to one small network. So the network layer includes IP address. So here in this one you will be having IP, router and packets. So here the data you will be having it as called as a packet. Okay, so here we will be having is in packet. Okay, so this here we will be calling it as a frame, and here we call it as in packet, and here we call it as in data. In this layer we call the same data, same thing as a data, and when it comes to the data link layer, so it will call it as in frame, and in this one we call it as in packet. Now let's say that you are sending data from San Francisco to Toronto. The routers in between them read the destination IP, route the packet from one point to another until it gets to the final destination. So this layer answers how do you get from here to there means, even if 5000 miles away, it will try to send you. So there, this is the thing. So here you will be having IP address and routers and all those things you will be having. The next one is the transport layer. So the next layer what you will be having is the transport layer. Okay, so this one is the transport layer. So that the top of this one is the transport layer. So now that you are moving data between the days, so now when you get the network layer, so you are moving data from one device to another device across the world. So now the data we are transferring it. So this layer ensures that the data gets there correctly or not. Okay, so in order and without loss. For example, you have sent the data from San Francisco to Toronto. You want to know that whether it has been reached or not. So this is where the transport layer comes. So usually here we call data here as segments. So here up to here we call the packet, right? Here we call it as in segments. The data is called as in segment here. Okay, and the main protocols you here is the TCP and the UDP. The protocols here we will be using is the TCP and the UDP. So if the segment gets lost, somewhere when you are transporting means, it TCP will detect and will request it again. UDP won't detect that if the data is lost or not. It just sends and forgets. That's it. So the transport layer gives us connection reliability. So the DCP connection, what it will try to do it is, so when we are trying to send the request, so it requires an acknowledgement whether the data has been transferred to the destination or not. If it doesn't transfer to the destination means, then it will try to transport the same packet again. So that's why TCP connection is more reliable, whereas an UDP protocol, what it will try to do is, it will send and forget. So it will send the data whether it has reached the destination or not, it will not care. So it will send another packet again. If the data is lost in the middle means, it will be lost. That's it. So UDP we will mainly be using in the streaming, video streaming or something like that. TCP means we will be using in the websites and all those things we will be using it. So we'll try to learn about these all the things upcoming. Just this is the transport layer. The next comes is the main complex one, that is nothing but an application layer. Okay, so this is one is the application layer. So now this is the main thing which we need to care about as a software engineer. So you need to care about here. This is the thing. Finally, we have the application layer. This is where you as a software or a Node.js developer actually work. At this layer, we build HTTP servers like websites, email applications SMTP, file transfer servers like FTP, SSH servers and more. So you are not worrying about the big bits. So we should not worry about the bits or MAC address or IP address or the TCP or UDP protocol. So you should not. Instead, you should care about only the which type of protocol we need to use, whether HTTP or FTP or etc. What port to listen on and how to handle the data once it received. So when we say Node.js is a networking tool means, this is what we mean. So now how these layers work together. Now each layer is linked to the one above and below. The transport layer uses the ports. Here the transport layer uses the ports to communicate with the application layer. The network layer uses IP address to find the devices. So the transport layer uses the ports to communicate with the application layer. The network layer uses the IP address to find devices. The data link layer uses MAC address to find devices and the same local network. Each layer has its job and doesn't worry about the others. So that's it guys. As a software developer or something like that, there is no need to care about these all the bottom 4 layers. The only thing which you concern as a software developer is application layer only. These all are related to the network things, and network engineers will take care of this one all. So whether if you want say only in the application layer, you need to select which type of protocol we need to use in the transport layer. Whether we should use the TCP protocol or UDP protocol. That's it. So we will be selecting the protocol. That's it. So if you want to design a new transport layer protocol or something like that from the scratch or something like that, it means so that is a different job. It's a network engineer will take care of that one. So let's try to have a quick recap. So physical layer it just consists of the bits using signals. Data link layer consists about the MAC addresses and for local delivery, and network layer consists about the IP address and routers to deliver across the networks, and transport layer consists about uses the TCP or UDP for reliability, and application layer where the developers build the actual applications. This is the basic thing. You might also hear about the OSI model. Okay, add more layer, like in the application layer you will be having something like application, session and presentation. So the more layers, so that depends. So until out and out what we need to do it is the application layer is the thing, and also we have the TCP IP model also will be having. So groups layer slightly differently, but the core concept stays the same no matter what the model is. So this is all about the core concept. So as a developer what you should know, so as a backend developer or a Node.js developer, you must mostly work at the application layer only. So you will be working mostly at the application layer only. You should understand IP address, ports and TCP UDP. That's it. There is no need to worry, and there is no need to configure the routers or design cables. So physical layer all communicates about the cables and all those things. So here we 1 GB, so you will be having 10 GB, 10 gigabits per second, something like that. Those all things there is no need to do it. So there is no need to configure routers, or there is no need to configure the design cables and all those things as a software developer. These are all the jobs required for the network engineers. And that's it guys. That wraps up our beginner's guide to network layers. I hope this video helped you building a mental map of how data travels from one machine to another machine. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment below if you want more networking on our Node.js content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.